Clearly, Pei, with his keen senses, vaguely noticed the subtle changes in Zishang's aura. If Pei knew that a remnant soul, suspected to be a martial emperor, was hidden within Zishang and could temporarily possess him, granting him 4 levels of power higher than usual, he might not have been so puzzled. Whoosh! As Zishang's elemental energy surged, the power of heaven and earth above his head fluctuated, finally converging into a celestial phenomenon. 8. 80 ancient horned dragon phantoms. Is this really just a celestial phenomenon triggered by Zishang's elemental energy? Looking at the 80 ancient horned dragon phantoms above Zishang's head, many people exclaimed TOU's elemental energy alone to trigger the power of heaven and earth and form 80 ancient horned dragon phantoms. This is the mark of a 6th level void transformation martial artist. I never thought Zishang would be a 6th level void transformation martial artist. No. Just now, Feng Tianwu asked him to use some secret technique, and then a black flame mark appeared between Zishang's eyebrows. And after that, he displayed the cultivation of a 6th level void transformation martial artist. Could it be that he can only possess this cultivation after using a secret technique? It should be. But this secret technique is truly abnormal. It actually allows a 2nd level void transformation martial artist to instantly possess the strength of a 6th level void transformation martial artist. The onlookers were all startled by Zishang's secret technique. Secret technique? At this moment, even the 3 monks from Yunkong Temple were surprised by Zishang's transformation. This Zishang, after using the secret technique, can actually match my cultivation? Zhang Yan stared at Zishang, his expression becoming slightly solemn. After joining the dispassionate sect and achieving his current cultivation, he had recalled his past more than once. Of course, he wasn't recalling that unbearable, unrequited love. Instead, he was recalling the various people he had encountered, among them, the 4 other young masters of the Green Lin Imperial Kingdom, along with himself, left the deepest impression, followed by Duan Ling Tian. In his opinion, with his current cultivation, whether it was the other 4 young masters or Duan Ling Tian, they were all destined to be left far behind. But now, seeing Zishang display the cultivation of a 6th level void transformation martial artist, he deeply realized that he had been too arrogant. Old ghost. Kill her. At the same time, inside Zishang's body, an urgent voice echoed continuously. It was Zishang's own voice. The current Zishang was being controlled by the remnant soul of Ghost Fire, just as Ghost Fire, controlling Zishang, was about to strike and kill Feng Tianwu. His body, which was preparing to shoot out, instantly froze in place. His dull eyes suddenly showed a hint of terror. All of this was because he saw Feng Tianwu unhurriedly take out a broken stone tablet. And that stone tablet was now trembling slightly, as if sensing something. Damn it! How did the demon sealing tablet get into her hands? Immediately after, a sinister and ancient voice echoed continuously within Zishang's body. Zishang, kid, you go play with her yourself. If you can't win, just surrender. That Duan Ling Tian actually gave her the demon sealing tablet. Damn it! The next moment, the black flame mark between Zishang's eyebrows completely disappeared as Zishang's soul returned to his own body. Big Brother Duan is truly thoughtful. Seeing this, a slight smile appeared on Feng Tianwu's pretty face. The demon sealing tablet in her hand was given to her by Duan Ling Tian last night, who told her to take it out to scare Zishang after the black flame mark appeared between his eyebrows. Then, Zishang would voluntarily surrender. I surrender. Zishang's suppressed and bitter voice spread out, like a thunderclap, causing everyone who had been expecting him to make a move to be stunned. Surrender? Why surrender? This was the confusion and incomprehension in most people's hearts. After Zishang displayed the cultivation of a 6th level void transformation martial artist, everyone except Duan Ling Tian almost thought that Feng Tianwu would voluntarily surrender. Even if she didn't, she would be defeated by Zishang. However, reality played a huge joke on them. Zishang, after displaying the cultivation of a 6th level void transformation martial artist, was aggressive one moment, then completely cowered the next, and even directly surrendered. What is this Zishang doing? If he wanted to surrender, couldn't he have done it earlier? Why surrender only after using a secret technique? Isn't this wasting my expressions? How could Vice Fortress Lord Ning take such a useless disciple? He's too useless. He has the cultivation of a 6th-level void transformation martial artist, but doesn't dare to attack Feng Tianwu. The surrounding clamor was one-sided, all denouncing Zishang. Zishang. At the same time, Ning Can, who was above the arena, his face completely darkened, and his angry elemental energy condensed into a sound that pierced Zishang's ear. What are you playing at? Didn't I tell you to kill this Feng Tianwu? Master, because of some things, I cannot kill Feng Tianwu. It's not convenient for me to explain now, but I promise, I will give you an answer. Hearing Ning Can's elemental energy condensed voice, Zishang, who was already prepared, replied, I hope you keep your word. Otherwise, even if you are my direct disciple, I will still punish you severely. Ning Can's expression softened a bit upon hearing this, but he still warned, rest assured. Master, Zishang responded, then stared coldly at Feng Tianwu, and said with elemental energy condensed sound, Feng Tianwu, I never thought Duanling Tian would give you that thing. If possible, I hope you can transfer it to me. I can promise you anything. I can even exchange it with the 8th-level fire intent fragment my master bestowed upon me. As long as you are willing to give me that broken stone tablet you just put away. Zishang's words were full of temptation. Unfortunately, Feng Tianwu didn't fall for it at all. You're dreaming. Immediately, Zishang's face turned ashen. But he couldn't do anything to Feng Tianwu. Without Old Ghost's help, he was no match for Feng Tianwu, who had comprehended the 4th-level middle-grade fire intent. Zishang challenged Feng Tianwu and surrendered. The two exchanged tokens. The owner of token number 2 became Feng Tianwu. The owner of token number 7 became Zishang. After Feng Tianwu received token number 2, she returned to Duanling Tian's side and immediately returned the demon sealing tablet to Duanling Tian, asking in surprise, Big Brother Duan, what exactly is this broken stone tablet? That Zishang actually wanted to exchange it with an 8th-level fire intent fragment. 8th-level fire intent fragment. He certainly has a loud, wishful thinking. Duanling Tian heard this, looked at Zishang in the distance, sneered, and then said with elemental energy condensed sound, Tianwu, I'm not entirely sure what this thing is, but you just need to remember one thing. That is, even if someone gave me 109th-level fire intent fragments, I wouldn't trade this stone tablet, let alone a mere 8th-level fire intent fragment. That precious. Feng Tianwu's pretty face was full of surprise upon hearing this. Although Duanling Tian didn't clearly state what the broken stone tablet was or its value, his words alone made her realize that the broken stone tablet was not simple. Ling Tian kid. Thank you. Feng Wu Dao saw the small actions between Duanling Tian and Feng Tianwu clearly, and naturally guessed the reason for Zishang's surrender, so he thanked Duanling Tian. Uncle Feng, we're all family. You don't need to be so polite. Besides, these are just trivial matters. Duanling Tian shook his head and smiled. Yes. Family. Feng Wu Dao laughed heartily, looked at Duanling Tian, then at his daughter, and a knowing smile appeared on his face. Duanling Tian directly ignored this. Feng Tianwu, however, blushed so deeply that it seemed as if blood could drip from her face. Imperial uncle, did you see that? The emperor of the Great Han Dynasty said with a solemn expression. Yes. Bai Nanny nodded, and said with a wary expression. Zishang surrendered because Feng Tianwu took out that broken stone tablet, which Zishang claimed was a sacred artifact that could double one's power. Whether this broken stone tablet is a sacred artifact or can double one's power, I'm not sure. But I can tell. Zishang is very afraid of it. During the Imperial Martial Competition, Zishang was defeated after Duanling Tian took out this stone tablet. Just now, when Duanling Tian challenged Zishang, Zishang surrendered directly, probably also because he was wary of that stone tablet. And when facing Feng Tianwu, he was originally ready to attack. But after Feng Tianwu took out that stone tablet, he directly surrendered. The emperor of the Great Han Dynasty nodded. Perhaps, from the very beginning, Zishang intended to use our Great Han Imperial family to help him seize that stone tablet. It's just a pity that Big Brother disappeared because of that stone tablet. and it's even highly probable that he has already been killed. By Nanine's side, his gaze extremely complex. Above the arena, discussions continued. Almost everyone was denouncing Zishang. Why did that Zishang suddenly surrender? Zhang Yin frowned, then looked at Peiyan beside him. Master, did you see anything? Peiyan shook his head. The three monks of Yunkang Temple were also bewildered, completely unable to understand Zishang's voluntary surrender. It wasn't until Qi Feng, the owner of token number 3, entered the arena that the discussions among the onlookers gradually subsided. After Qi Feng entered the arena, his gaze locked onto a graceful figure. The owner of token number 9, Yi Ling. Yi Ling, the strongest among the younger generation of the Great Qing dynasty, had a cultivation of the third-level void transformation and comprehended the second-level void transformation intent, possessing considerable strength. Unfortunately, encountering Qi Feng, she was destined to lose. Qi Feng, the ninth prince of the Great Qi dynasty, displayed a fourth-level void transformation cultivation and a fourth-level void transformation intent as soon as he made his move, crushing Yi Ling with overwhelming power in front of him. Yi Ling had no power to retaliate and was defeated in one move. Fortunately, Qi Feng showed mercy and did not ruthlessly destroy the flower. Otherwise, even if Yi Ling had 10 lives, it wouldn't have been enough to save her. This Qi Feng, if I don't use soul skills, I'm not his match. Duan Ling Tian stared at Qi Feng and muttered to himself. After Qi Feng. It was Qin Kong, the owner of token number 4, who stepped onto the stage as soon as Qin Kong appeared. His gaze locked onto Su Li, the owner of token number 10 Su Li, with a cultivation base at the second level of the void prying stage, had comprehended the 3-level mid-grade sword intent and the 1-level mid-grade water intent. With a 3rd-grade spirit sword, he possessed the strength of 110 ancient horned dragons. Qin Kong, a martial artist at the 4th level of the void prying stage, had comprehended the 4-level void prying intent. Even if he only used a 4th-grade or 5th-grade spirit weapon, he could still overpower Su Li in terms of strength, let alone using a 3rd-grade spirit weapon, given such a vast disparity in strength. Su Li did not even make a move and simply conceded. The owner of token number 5, Tianmu, from the Great Yuan dynasty, was as robust as an ox. His 3rd-grade spirit weapon was a pair of gauntlets. His iron fists struck like cannonballs, and anyone hit by them would either die or be severely injured to the brink of death. Owner of token number 10, Su Li. Tianmu, like Qin Kong, challenged Su Li had conceded without even stepping onto the stage earlier, so he couldn't refuse Tianmu's challenge. However, just like in the previous match, he simply conceded. Although Tianmu's comprehended intent was slightly inferior to Qi Feng's and Qin Kong's, it was still a 3-level void prying intent, coupled with his 4th-level void prying stage cultivation. Su Li was no match for him. Because of this, Su Li decisively conceded, not wanting to waste time. After Tianmu, it was Lu Yong, the owner of token number 6, who stepped onto the stage. After Lu Yong appeared, his gaze swept over Zishang, O Chun, Yi Ling, and Su Li. He could only choose from these 4 people. Su Li. In the end, he still chose Su Li was challenged for the 3rd time. Haha, Su Li, your number 10 token is really a hot potato. Zhang Shouyong looked at Su Li and couldn't help but laugh, although Duan Ling Tian didn't say anything. The smile on his face was enough to show that he, like Zhang Shouyong, was somewhat gloating. Su Li gave a wry smile. This time, however, he didn't concede again and simply stepped onto the stage, confronting Lu Yong. Lu Yong, the crown prince of the Great Ming dynasty and a direct disciple of Feng Wei, the vice fortress master of Kangwol Fortress, had a cultivation base at the 3rd level of the void prying stage and had comprehended a 2-level fire intent. Additionally, Lu Yong had also comprehended a 5-level low-grade wind intent and a 3-level low-grade thunder intent. The Lu Yong spirit weapon was a 3rd-grade spirit fan, without a fan surface, only the fan ribs, with all his techniques unleashed. His strength was comparable to 105 ancient horned dragons, which was 5 ancient horned dragons less than Su Li's 110 ancient horned dragons. Something seems off. Logically, Lu Yong's strength is inferior to Su Li's, so he should be extremely cautious. But now, looking at the confident Lu Yong, Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed slightly, vaguely feeling that something was amiss. Humph! Under everyone's watchful eyes, Lu Yong made his move. He took the initiative, unleashing all his techniques, and the third-grade spirit fan in his hand transformed into a fire fan, emitting an incredibly scorching aura in an instant. The air currents vibrated, and when touched by the fire fan in Lu Yong's hand, they stirred up a wave of heat that spread in all directions, blowing towards everyone watching. Duan Ling Tian felt a strong, scorching aura rush towards him, and he instantly noticed the change in the fire intent within Lu Yong's fan compared to before. His expression changing. Su Li, be careful. He has already comprehended the 3-level mid-grade fire intent. Duan Ling Tian hurriedly used his elemental energy to transmit a warning to Su Li.at this moment. With the fire fan sweeping across the sky, Lu Yong, engulfed in flames like a large fireball, charged towards Su Li. Above his head, a celestial phenomenon suddenly appeared. 115 ancient horned dragon phantoms materialized, lifelike. Whoosh! Having been warned by Duan Ling Tian and thus prepared, Su Li, facing Lu Yong who was rolling towards him like a large fireball, merged with his sword into a giant sword formed by the materialized water intent. Sweeping across the sky, a piercing sword cry erupted, and a fierce sword intent emanated, making many people who were closer feel a chill down their spines. It's useless. The difference of 5 ancient horned dragons' worth of strength is enough for me to easily crush you. The rolling fireball shot out like a cannonball towards the giant sword, and at the same time, Lu Yong's booming voice rang out. Is that so? Su Li's voice was fearless. With his body and sword, combined with the giant sword formed by the water intent and sword intent, he suddenly soared into the sky as soon as his voice fell. Humph! You can't escape. Lu Yong's cold snort rang out, and the large fireball, emitting waves of heat, followed him into the sky, chasing after Su Li as if it wouldn't stop until it caught him. Whoosh! The giant sword soared into the sky, but the large fireball behind it was getting closer and closer. The difference of 5 ancient horned dragons' worth of strength made the giant sword's speed slightly slower than the large fireballs. What is Su Li trying to do? Seeing this scene, Zhang Shouyong looked bewildered, unable to fathom Su Li's intention in doing so. In his opinion, Su Li's current actions were undoubtedly exposing himself completely to Lu Yong, potentially facing danger at any moment. Duan Ling Tian's brows also furrowed. He always felt that Su Li couldn't possibly make such a low-level mistake. Could it be that Su Li still has some trump card? Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian glanced at Jian 13, and after seeing Jian 13's calm and composed expression, this thought arose in his mind. Immediately after, Duan Ling Tian's eyes lit up, and he stared intently at the giant sword that was constantly being approached by the large fireball. Perhaps Su Li could really give him a surprise. Whoosh! The giant sword continued to ascend, and the large fireball was getting closer and closer to it. Buzz! Suddenly, a piercing roar came, making everyone involuntarily look over from where the sound came. Air currents swept through the air, forming circles of ripples that continuously spread in all directions. Extremely dazzling. But at this moment, no one paid attention to this. Everyone's gaze fell on the giant sword that suddenly changed direction. The giant sword turned, its tip pointing towards the ascending fireball. Whoosh! Suddenly, everyone saw the giant sword tremble violently, then swiftly descend, actually piercing straight towards the large fireball that was charging at it. The giant sword fell from the sky, carrying the strength of 110 ancient horned dragons. The large fireball soared into the sky, containing the strength of 115 ancient horned dragons. The two were about to collide, and if there were no accidents, the victor would be immediately revealed. Su Li is going to lose. This was the thought in most people's minds at the scene. After all, a difference of 5 ancient horned dragons' worth of strength was like a chasm, difficult to overcome. Whoosh! Swish! Finally, the giant sword and the large fireball crashed into each other with a roar, creating intense and brilliant sparks like blooming fireworks. under everyone's watchful eyes. The materialized giant sword formed by water intent collided with the large fireball. Due to the difference in the level of intent, water overcoming fire could not be realized in a blink of an eye. The large fireball remained unchanged, while the giant sword was weakened and shrunk a portion. Boom! With a loud bang, the giant sword seemed to give up resistance, while the power of the large fireball grew stronger, fiercely slamming into the giant sword, shattering it to pieces, just when everyone thought that Lu Yong, who controlled the large fireball, had defeated Su Li, who controlled the giant sword. Impossible! A sudden cry of alarm rang out, filled with disbelief. It's Lu Yong's voice. Immediately, everyone couldn't help but stare intently. With just one glance, they saw that as the giant sword shattered, Su Li inside, holding his sword with both hands, continued to descend at this moment. Su Li transferred all his strength to the sword in his hand. The 110 ancient horned dragon phantoms, which had gradually dispersed as the giant sword shattered, recondensed, whoosh. The 3-foot green blade fell straight down, while the large fireball's power was completely unleashed on the giant sword, and it was too late to reinforce. It pierced through the weakened large fireball and descended towards Lu Yong's forehead. Stop! Seeing this, Feng Wei's expression changed drastically, and he roared, wanting to rescue Lu Yong, his direct disciple. Unfortunately, it was too late. Whoosh! Su Li, with his body and sword, fell from the sky. The sharp 3-foot green blade pierced through Lu Yong's forehead and into his body. As Lu Yong died, the large fireball dissipated and vanished without a trace, pulling out his sword. Su Li, whose robes were tattered and whose mouth was stained with blood, showed a smile on his face. What if there was a difference of 5 ancient horned dragons' worth of strength? Su Li, still slew Lu Yong with his sword. Su Li, Feng Wei coldly shouted, his robes billowing, wanting to avenge his direct disciple, Lu Yong. However, before he could act, he was stopped by Ning Can. Feng Wei, calm down. Don't forget, in the 10 Dynasty Martial Arts Tournament ranking selection, life and death are not considered. As the Vice Fortress Master of Kangwolf Fortress, if you act for your own selfish gain, where would that leave Kangwolf Fortress? Towards the end, Ning Qin's tone became increasingly severe. Feng Wei heard this and calmed down, but his eyes still filled with icy hatred, staring intently at Su Li in the future. If there was even the slightest chance, he would absolutely not let Su Li off, even if the opponent was Jian 13's direct disciple. Although Lu Yong, among the young prodigies participating in this 10 Dynasty Martial Arts Tournament, was not considered top tier in terms of talent or comprehension, because Lu Yong's personality suited him very well. He had always been very satisfied with this direct disciple, but now, his direct disciple was killed in front of him. How could he not be angry? As expected of the highly renowned heaven-grade sword skill from the Blade and Sword Sect, Mother-Child Consecutive Swords, it is indeed formidable. Hui Ming's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but praise another middle-aged monk standing beside Hui Ming, who was Hui Jing, looked at Jian 13 and said, Vice Sect Master Jian, is this young man your disciple? Hui Jing, you bald donkey. Although your strength is not great, I have to say, your eyesight is not bad. Jian 13 nodded. Hui Jing gave a wry smile. He, at least, was an 8th level void transformation stage martial artist. But in Jian 13's mouth, he became not great in strength. Of course, he knew in his heart that Jian 13 had the right to say that as far as he knew, Jian 13 had now broken through to the 9th level of the void transformation stage, far beyond what he could compare to. Perhaps only his senior brother, Hui Ming, beside him had the strength to fight him. Asterisk, the mother-child chainswords? Duan Ling Tian murmured to himself as he watched Su Li, who had killed Lu Yong and become the center of attention. Just now, when Su Li discarded his great sword, and it was shattered by Lu Yong, Duan Ling Tian had already witnessed Su Li's lightning-fast movements. After abandoning his great sword, he immediately used the chain swords to kill Lu Yong, who hadn't had time to react. Lu Yong, despite possessing strength superior to Su Li's, died with a single misstep. A truly tragic end. Although the mother-child chain swords that Su Li cultivates is only a heaven-rank low-grade sword skill. From his performance just now, he has clearly cultivated it to the perfection stage. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself that Su Li was indeed a born swordsman. Good. Amazing. At this moment, the onlookers, who had been stunned by Su Li's actions, all came back to their senses and couldn't help but cheer loudly in their eyes. The sword skill Su Li had just displayed was simply miraculous. What if there was a difference of 5 ancient horned dragon strength? He still managed to defeat and kill his opponent with a weaker strength. Whoosh. Under everyone's gaze, Su Li flew down and, in a moment, arrived in front of Duan Ling Tian, smiling. Duan Ling Tian, I avenged you. How will you repay me? If it had been anyone else, Su Li might not have killed them, out of respect for them being Feng Wei's direct disciple. But Lu Yong had attacked Duan Ling Tian in the Purgatory Illusion during the first round of the 10 Dynasty martial arts competition. And according to Zhang Shouyong, Duan Ling Tian had almost died by Lu Yong's hand. It was precisely because of this that he ruthlessly killed Lu Yong. Duan Ling Tian was a friend he had known since childhood, and someone who had readily lent a helping hand when he needed it. In his heart, Duan Ling Tian held a very special place. Anyone who wanted to kill Duan Ling Tian was Su Li's enemy. What kind of repayment do you want? Duan Ling Tian asked with a smile. All right, I was just joking. Su Li shook his head and smiled. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed, a hint of gratitude appearing in them. Actually, as soon as Su Li killed Lu Yong, he had guessed Su Li's motive for doing so. It was to avenge him. Otherwise, Su Li could have simply severely injured Lu Yong. There was no need to kill him, because killing Lu Yong brought him no benefit and might even offend Feng Wei, the vice-fortress master of Kangwolf Fortress. This was evident from Feng Wei's hostile gaze towards Su Li. Duan Ling Tian said no more words of gratitude, as it was completely unnecessary. The friendship between him and Su Li did not require such superficial gestures. Everything was understood without words. Token number 6 owner. Lu Yong challenged token number 10 owner, Su Li, and failed. Su Li obtains token number 6. Additionally, due to Lu Yong's death, there is one less spot in the top 10 of the 10 Dynasty martial arts competition, which will be filled by the owner of token number 11. Ning Kan announced in a loud voice. The owner of token number 11 was precisely Zhang Shouyong, who obtained Su Li's token number 10.as for Su Li. He obtained Lu Yong's token number 6. Su Li, it seems I also need to thank you. Zhang Shouyong had originally thought he had no chance of making it into the top 10 of the 10 Dynasty martial arts competition. But who knew things would take such a turn, allowing him to fill a spot in the top 10 in other words. Now, even if he consecutively conceded 9 times, losing to the owners of token number 1 to number 9, he would still be among the top 10 of the 10 Dynasty martial arts competition. Moreover, Zhang Shouyong had no intention of accepting any challenges, as he knew there was still a certain gap between him and the previous 9 that even if he made a move, it would only be to humiliate himself. It was better to stand here and wait for the rewards. Of the top 10 of the 10 Dynasty martial arts competition, the 4th round of the 10 Dynasty martial arts competition continued. The owner of token number 7, Feng Tianwu, transformed into a fire spirit and, in a moment, arrived at the center of the fighting arena above. Her gaze immediately fell upon the owner of token number 9, Yi Ling, and she challenged her by name. Yi Ling took a deep breath, flew out, and met Feng Tianwu's gaze. Now, having witnessed Feng Tianwu's true strength, Yi Ling dared not underestimate her in the slightest. Although Feng Tianwu's cultivation was slightly inferior to hers, her comprehension of concept far surpassed hers. Therefore, facing Feng Tianwu now, Yi Ling felt as if she was facing a formidable enemy. The 2 young female powerhouses stood in opposition, attracting everyone's attention for a moment. Yi Ling had been famous in the Great Qing dynasty for many years, and people from other dynasties had heard of her. Feng Tianwu, though beautiful as a celestial being and possessing considerable strength, had been unknown before this. But after Feng Tianwu's previous display, no one dared to question her strength. Everyone knew that this celestial beauty was not only stunningly gorgeous, but also far superior in strength to many other young powerhouses, only 25 years old. She was at the second level of the void prying stage and had comprehended the fourth level void prying concept, let alone female martial artists. Even among male martial artists, how many could achieve this? Yi Ling let out a soft cry and attacked first, her sword moving like a swimming dragon. Incomparably agile, like a flying leaf darting out, lightly touching Feng Tianwu around the sword. Faint ripples of blue water were clearly entwined and pulsating, which was the materialized water concept. Whoosh. The sword strike seemed ordinary, yet it contained extraordinary power above the void. A heaven and earth phenomenon took shape, the 98 ancient horned dragon phantoms. Following Yi Ling, who had transformed into a flying wisp, descended from the sky, baring their fangs and claws as they lunged towards Feng Tianwu. Swish. Feng Tianwu moved, swift as wind, quick as fire, and in a moment, she met Yi Ling. Whoosh. A long whip entwined with flames, like a moving spirit snake, swept out its tail, fearlessly meeting the sharp sword in Yi Ling's hand. Clang. Asterisk above the void. A heaven and earth phenomenon abruptly rose, transforming into 100 ancient horned dragon phantoms. Two more than the ancient horned dragon phantoms above Yi Ling's head. 100 ancient horned dragon phantoms bared their fangs and claws, lunging at the 98 ancient horned dragon phantoms. Clashing in battle, evenly matched for a time. Clang. The third-grade spirit whip and third-grade spirit sword collided, both shaking and retreating simultaneously. The moment they retreated, both advanced together, attacking each other. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. For a time, a sky full of sword shadows and whip shadows intertwined, like a torrential storm. The two graceful figures also clashed like fire and water, constantly colliding. Ultimately, Feng Tianwu gained the upper hand, injuring Yi Ling in one fell swoop and securing the final victory. Yi Ling panted heavily, looking at the graceful figure in the distance. Her gaze filled with an indescribable complexity. Could this woman in red, like a fire spirit, truly be a favored child of heaven? Not only did she possess a beauty that was enviable and capable of toppling kingdoms, but she also had astonishing strength. I originally thought that Yi Ling of the Great Qing dynasty could be considered the strongest young female powerhouse of our 10 dynasties. But now it seems that is not the case. Feng Tianwu of the Great Han dynasty is the strongest young female powerhouse of our 10 dynasties. This is the first time I've seen such a beautiful woman with such talent. The onlookers sighed in admiration. Chan, the owner of token number 8, stood in the distant sky, his gaze fixed on Feng Tianwu, filled with apprehension and solemnity. Although he believed his strength surpassed Yi Ling's, it wasn't by much. Once he faced Feng Tianwu, he wasn't entirely confident if it were anyone else, it would be fine. But this Feng Tianwu was only a 25-year-old woman. For such a woman to evoke such emotions in him, his heart was filled with bitterness for a moment. The fire spirit glided through the air and returned to Duan Ling Tian's side. Could it really be that heaven envies talent? Jin Shisan and Dao Wu looked at Feng Tianwu and sighed silently. Feng Tianwu was a fire spirit body, which made them feel a sense of pity. Of course, they also knew that if Feng Tianwu wasn't a fire spirit body, she wouldn't have achieved so much at such a young age. So that's how it is. Above the void, Payan, the sect master of the Heartbreak sect, withdrew his gaze from Feng Tianwu and murmured to himself, "Master, what did you discover?" Zhang Yan stood beside Payan, asking respectfully, "If I'm not mistaken, this Feng Tianwu should be a congenital spirit-bodied." Payan murmured, and as he spoke, his gaze seemed to become somewhat distant, as if he was reminiscing about something. Congenital spirit body. Zhang Yan's pupils contracted, and he exclaimed in shock, "Is it a congenital spirit body like senior brother Hong's?" "Yes." Payan nodded gently, saying expressionlessly, "But your senior brother Hong is also different from her. Your senior brother Hong's was a lightning spirit body, and hers should be a fire spirit body." Although Payan's face remained devoid of emotion, a hint of sadness still flickered in his eyes when he spoke of this. "So that's how it is." Zhang Yan gasped, looking at the woman in red, who resembled a fire spirit, and sighed. Zhang Yin knew a little about the fate of congenital spirit bodies due to Senior Brother Hong. Senior Brother Hong, it was said, was the only direct disciple his master had taken before him. But Zhang Yin had never met this Senior Brother Hong when he joined the Heartbreak sect. Senior Brother Hong was no longer there. It was said that at the age of 30, the power of his lightning spirit body erupted, causing him to die prematurely. However, the talent and strength of that Senior Brother Hong during his lifetime were enough to make it difficult for him to compare, even making him feel ashamed. At 23, he entered the void prying stage. At 27, he entered the void transformation stage, when the power of his lightning spirit body erupted. His cultivation was at the 7th level of the void transformation stage. Apart from the then sect master of the Heartbreak sect and a few vice sect masters, few could compare to him. Most importantly, at that time, he was only 30 years old. A 7th level void transformation stage at 30 years old. Heaven envies talent. Zhang Yin sighed again, muttering softly, perhaps speaking of his never-before-met senior brother, or perhaps of the woman in red in the distance. The fate of congenital spirit bodies in the history of Cloud Continent seemed to have rarely been reversed, but once reversed, they would soar to great heights, becoming figures like favored sons and daughters of heaven. Token number 8 holder. Ochan is up. Ochan could only choose between two people. Token number 9 holder, Yiling, and token number 10 holder, Zhang Shouyong. Not to mention that Yiling had just fought a match and could refuse his challenge on the grounds of needing rest. Even if Yiling hadn't fought in the previous match, he wouldn't choose her for now. That he needed to conserve his strength to face challenges from stronger opponents. Therefore, challenging the weakest first was undoubtedly the best strategy for him right now. Token number 10 holder. Ochen's gaze fell on Zhang Shouyong, calling him out. I concede. Just as Ochen's words fell, Zhang Shouyong had already conceded without any hesitation. He had witnessed Ochen's strength earlier, with a cultivation of void prying stage level 3 and comprehension of void prying concept level 2. Ochen was superior to him. Even if he accepted the challenge, the outcome would be the same. Next, token number 9 holder Yiling initiated a challenge. She could only challenge Zhang Shouyong, who then conceded. Number 10. At this moment, Ning Kan, the vice fortress master of Tsangwolf Fortress, looked at Zhang Shouyong and asked directly, are you willing to be ranked 10th in the 10 Dynasty Martial Competition? If so, no one will challenge you later, and you won't need to waste words conceding. Yes. Zhang Shouyong nodded in response. Open and honest. Good. Ning Kan nodded, then scanned the surroundings, his gaze falling one by one on the other 9 people, including Duan Ling Tian. The 10th place of the 10 Dynasty Martial Competition has been confirmed. Now, we continue to compete for the specific rankings of the top 9. Of course, if the person among you who is currently ranked last is willing to accept a ranking equivalent to the number on their token, they can also state it. Currently, Yiling was ranked last, but Yiling clearly had no intention of settling for 9th place. In her heart, she harbored the desire to replace Ochun, the holder of token #8. Additionally, she was unconvinced by Duan Ling Tian and Zishang. 1 round passed, eliminating Zhang Shouyong. The other 9 continued to as the holder of token #1. Duan Ling Tian was the first to step onto the stage. Whoosh. His body moved like a hurricane, arriving at the central area above the fighting arena in a flash. Number 9. Immediately, Duan Ling Tian's gaze locked onto Yiling. Yiling was not surprised to be challenged by Duan Ling Tian. Even Zishang, who could use a secret technique to boost his strength to void prying stage level 6, had conceded before Duan Ling Tian. But in her opinion, Zishang was just a silver spear with a wax head, all show and no substance. Otherwise, why would he surrender without a fight in front of Feng Tianwu? Duan Ling Tian, you must be careful. Otherwise, the most precious token number 1 in your hand might change hands. Yiling reminded Duan Ling Tian. I'll be waiting. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly. As if sensing Duan Ling Tian's disdain, Yiling's expression darkened. Her figure moved, taking the initiative, her 3-foot-long sword flowing like water, pointing at Duan Ling Tian. From the start, Yi Ling used her full strength, holding nothing back. Duan Ling Tian stood still, as if waiting for Yi Ling's attack to land on him. Hiss, 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 hiss. As Yi Ling's attack drew closer and closer to Duan Ling Tian, the surrounding crowd gasped, all thinking that Duan Ling Tian was being overly arrogant, that Yi Ling's sword reached Duan Ling Tian in an instant. Within arm's reach, the critical moment, Duan Ling Tian's eyes flashed. A faint glow shimmering in their depths point thousand illusions. In an instant, Duan Ling Tian's vast spiritual power pierced into the soul imprint deep within his soul, directly unleashing his exclusive soul skill in a flash. His spiritual power constructed an illusionary space, which appeared out of thin air and enveloped Yi Ling. Is this Duan Ling Tian tired of living? Seeing Yi Ling's sword already at Duan Ling Tian's chest, needing only to move a little further to pierce through, many people felt their scalps tingle. At this moment, even the three monks from Yunkong Temple were startled by Duan Ling Tian's actions. That wasn't this just asking for death? Zhang Yan, high in the distant sky, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. Then he murmured to himself, could it be that he's going to use his demonic art again? Duan Ling Tian knew demonic art. He had heard Ziyin mention it more than once years ago. He had even witnessed it with his own eyes. Demonic art. Upon hearing Zhang Yan's murmur, Pei Yan's face remained expressionless, but a hint of surprise flickered deep within his eyes. What is Yi Ling doing? Someone exclaimed, breaking the silence. Everyone was stunned when Yi Ling's sword, just as it was about to pierce Duan Ling Tian's chest, suddenly changed direction and wildly thrust into the empty space beside him. Has this Yi Ling gone mad? She doesn't dare to kill Duan Ling Tian. No, something seems off. Just as many people were filled with doubt. They witnessed another scene that left them dumbfounded. After Yi Ling moved her sword away from Duan Ling Tian, she actually turned around and attacked the empty space again, as if her opponent wasn't Duan Ling Tian, but the air itself. Seeing this, many people felt their scalps tingle. Could this Yi Ling have gone insane? This was the thought in most people's minds. Only a few individuals withdrew their gazes from Yi Ling and looked at Duan Ling Tian with a mix of surprise and uncertainty. These few people were naturally the two vice fortress masters of Tsangwol Fortress and the three monks from Yunkong Temple for Sword 13 and Blade 5. They had heard Su Li and Long Yun mention Duan Ling Tian's technique many times. So while surprised, they were already mentally prepared. Demonic art. After listening to Zhang Yan's description, conveyed through Yuan Li's sonic transmission, Pei Yan's face remained expressionless, but when he responded to Zhang Yan, he rejected Zhang Yan's judgment. There is no such thing as demonic art in this world. I believe Duan Ling Tian's method is somewhat similar to a soul skill. Of course, if he isn't an ordinary human but a different type of being, then this method of his is very likely his innate divine ability. Soul skill? Innate divine ability? Zhang Yan's expression remained unchanged, but his eyes were filled with confusion. These two terms were completely foreign to him. There's a fluctuation of spiritual energy. That Yi Ling didn't go insane. She fell into Duan Ling Tian's trap. What happened to Yi Ling, aside from the group from the Great Han Dynasty who were used to it, left everyone from the other 9 dynasties in shock. A few inscription masters at the void transformation stage even noticed some clues. Although they could use their spiritual power to interfere with the spiritual power enveloping Yi Ling, they dared not. Are you kidding me? This was Tsangwol Fortress, and the 10 Dynasty martial competition was underway. If they dared to intervene, and Tsangwol Fortress held them accountable, they would surely face certain death. Whoosh. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Ling Tian, who had remained motionless and unmoving like a mountain, finally moved. Wind sweeping clouds. He transformed into a hurricane, rushing towards Yi Ling facing his charge. Yi Ling seemed oblivious, still swinging her sword and fighting the air, as if she had truly gone mad. Boom. Duan Ling Tian easily circled to Yi Ling's side, casually striking with a palm, injuring and sending Yi Ling flying, leaving her temporarily unable to fight. This moment, Duan Ling Tian's spiritual power vibrated. shattering the illusionary space he had constructed with his sole skill, thousand illusions. Wah! Yiling's face turned pale. After spitting out a mouthful of stale blood, she finally regained her senses. When she saw Duan Ling Tian, who was calm and composed, her expression couldn't help but change slightly. You. Soon, Yiling heard the Yuan Li sonic transmission from the great Qing dynasty representative and immediately understood what had just happened, turning her face ashen with fright. When she looked at Duan Ling Tian again, her eyes were filled with nothing but terror. It turned out that everything she had just experienced was fake. An illusion. That was an illusion. Yiling quickly guessed what had happened. Her first thought was whether Duan Ling Tian had used external forces similar to inscriptions or inscription formations, but on second thought, she felt it was impossible. Inscription formations needed to be set up in a fixed location, and this was Tsang Wolf Fortress's territory. Even if Duan Ling Tian truly understood inscription formations, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Most importantly, she hadn't sensed any fluctuations or aura from inscriptions or inscription formations. Because of this, she confirmed one thing. The illusion she had just faced was cast by Duan Ling Tian himself, similar to the soul skills of those specially gifted demonic beasts in legends. Now, I believe you have the ability to obtain token number 1. Yiling took a deep breath, smiled kindly at Duan Ling Tian, and subtly flirted with him. Unfortunately, Duan Ling Tian merely nodded casually at her, then retreated. This immediately made her furious. To think that she, Yiling, the number 1 young genius of the great Qing dynasty, whose own emperor wanted her as a daughter-in-law, was completely ignored by this Duan Ling Tian. However, when Yiling's gaze inadvertently fell on Feng Tianwu, who was chatting and laughing with Duan Ling Tian in the distance, the anger on her face vanished without a trace. In front of Feng Tianwu, she felt somewhat ashamed of herself. Perhaps only a woman like her is worthy of him. Yiling gave a self-deprecating smile, then returned to the great Qing dynasty's camp. After Duan Ling Tian stepped down, it was the turn of token number 2 holder, Feng Tianwu. After Feng Tianwu stepped onto the stage, her gaze locked onto token number 8 holder, Ochun. Ochun's cultivation and concept were comparable to Yiling's, and his techniques were slightly superior to Yiling's. But in the end, he still lost to Feng Tianwu. Token number 3 holder, Qi Feng, steps up, victory. Token number 4 holder, Qin Kong, steps up, victory. Not long after, it was Su Li's turn again as the holder of token number 6. He challenged Yiling and won. After Su Li, it was Zishang, the holder of token #7. As soon as Zishang stepped onto the stage, a stir of commotion arose around him. You think Zishang will challenge someone by name this time, then actively concede? Ha, that's actually possible. What secret technique? What void-prying stage level 6? It's just a silver spear with a wax head, all show and no substance. Zishang, what a huge joke. The sarcastic remarks from all around fell into Zishang's ears, making his face turn ugly and ashen. Owner of token number 8, Ochun. Because Yiling had just fought Su Li, Zishang could only choose Ochun, the owner of token number 8. Ochun looked nonchalant. He also thought Zishang was all show and no substance. Swish. As a black flame mark appeared between Zishang's eyebrows, 80 ancient horned dragon phantoms once again emerged above the void, bearing their fangs and claws, with an imposing aura. However, few people were surprised now. Most looked at Zishang with mockery, as if waiting for him to embarrass himself again. But soon, their pupils couldn't help but constrict, because this time, Zishang not only displayed the strength of void-prying stage level 6, but also unleashed it. With just one strike, he heavily injured Ochun. After spitting out several mouthfuls of blood, Ochun directly fainted and was then taken away by the representative of the great Chu dynasty. This time, all the voices questioning Zishang came to an abrupt halt. Zishang surveyed his surroundings and let out a cold snort, seemingly declaring his displeasure. Regardless, Zishang's forceful display of void-prying stage level 6 power, defeating Ochun in one encounter, still shocked many people. What kind of secret technique is that? It's too abnormal. No wonder Vice Fortress Master Ning took him as his personal disciple. It turns out he has such a powerful method. As expected of Vice Fortress Master Ning's personal disciple. Truly extraordinary. The various sarcastic remarks about Zishang were gone, replaced only by exclamations of admiration. These people changed their tunes so quickly. Su Li frowned. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly. They're all just opportunists. They sway whichever way the wind blows. So, there's no need to take them seriously. Zishang heavily injured O Chun, leaving him without the strength to fight again, even after taking the Grade 3 rebirth pill provided by the Azure Wolf Fortress. O Chun only recovered somewhat, but didn't fully heal. As a result, O Chun could only settle for 9th place in the 10 Dynasty Martial Arts meet. Yi Ling effortlessly obtained token number 8, making her feel as if she were dreaming. And all of this was given to her by Zishang. Glancing at Zishang, Yi Ling's eyes revealed genuine fear. A moment later, remembering that she had already been defeated by Duan Ling Tian, Su Li, and Feng Tianwu, and knowing she was no match for the other three, she made a decision. Looking at Ning Can, she said, Vice Fortress Master Ning, I am willing to be ranked 8th in this 10 Dynasty Martial Arts meet. At this point, the 8th, 9th, and 10th places of the 10 Dynasty Martial Arts meet were decided. The 4th round of selections continued, just as Duan Ling Tian, the owner of token number 1, was about to step onto the stage. Su Li called out to him. What's wrong? Duan Ling Tian looked at Su Li in confusion. At this moment, Su Li didn't answer Duan Ling Tian, but looked up at Ning Ken in the sky and said directly, for this match, Duan Ling Tian challenges me, and I concede. Ning Ken nodded. Duan Ling Tian smiled wryly at Su Li. You're in such a hurry, why? I still have several people to challenge. If you were to go on stage, you definitely wouldn't challenge Tian Wu and me first. Besides, I want to watch you fight those 3 guys without any distractions. Su Li's meaning was clear. He wanted to determine his own ranking first. And then he could properly watch Duan Ling Tian fight the other 3 guys. As for those 3 guys, they were naturally Qi Feng, Qin Kong, and Tamu, all at Void Prying Stage Level 4. Next, it was Feng Tianwu's turn. I challenged the owner of token number 6, Su Li. I concede. Perhaps influenced by Su Li, Feng Tianwu didn't step onto the stage and directly conceded to Su Li. Between her and Su Li, there was a difference of 10 ancient horned dragons worth of power, plus Su Li's astonishingly brilliant mother-child chainsword art. She had no confidence in facing Su Li. Following this, the owners of tokens number 3, 4, and 5 successively challenged Feng Tianwu, who had just obtained token number 6. Facing these 3 individuals who were even stronger than Su Li, Feng Tianwu didn't step onto the stage and directly conceded, given that Su Li admitted he was inferior to Qi Feng, Qin Kong, and Tamu. Their rankings rose accordingly. Qi Feng obtained token number 2. Qin Kong obtained token number 3. Tamu obtained token number 4. As for Su Li, he obtained token number 5. Feng Tianwu, number 6. Zishang, number 7. This was the temporary ranking. Whoosh. Duan Ling Tian stepped onto the stage, his gaze fixed on Tamu. I challenged the owner of token number 4. A moment later, Tamu flew out and confronted Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, you look so frail. Just hand over token number 1. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you. Tamu grinned, appearing simple and honest, but his eyes were filled with glints of shrewdness. That depends on whether you have the ability. Duan Ling Tian said indifferently. It must be said that Tamu's strength was decent, at least better than Yi Ling, who had previously fought Duan Ling Tian. Not only had his cultivation broken through to Void Prying Stage Level 4, but he had also comprehended triple Void Prying intent. Unfortunately, Tamu was not an inscription master. Therefore, under Duan Ling Tian's soul skill, 1000 illusions, Tamu was very easily defeated by Duan Ling Tian. Tamu was utterly confused by his defeat, his face filled with bewilderment. I lost. Just as the onlookers were somewhat speechless, Tamu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes shining as he looked at Duan Ling Tian, and with a thick-skinned expression, he said, Duan Ling Tian, please take me as your disciple. How about you teach me the methods you used against me just now? Not interested. Duan Ling Tian glanced indifferently at Tamu, then returned to Feng Tian Wu, Su Li, and the others. However, Tamu followed him. Master, master, I've decided I'm going to follow you from now on. I must learn your skills. Get lost. Duan Ling Tian frowned, let out a stern shout, then relaxed and ignored Tamu. Tamu. Just then, the burly old man, the representative of the great Yuan dynasty, stepped through the air and quickly arrived beside Tamu, slapping him on the back of his head. Slap. After slapping Tamu, the burly old man looked at Duan Ling Tian. If Tamu caused you any trouble, please forgive him. Duan Ling Tian nodded. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I want to follow master. I want to follow my master. Tamu, being dragged away by the burly old man, kept shouting and making a fuss, clinging on like an unruly brat. This scene left the onlookers somewhat speechless, listening to Tamu calling him master repeatedly. Duan Ling Tian was quite speechless. How did he not know he had taken Tamu as a disciple? Brother Ling Tian, I think it would be good if you took that guy as a disciple. In the future, you'll have one more person to serve you. Zhang Shouyong said with a laugh. Duan Ling Tian gave the gloating Zhang Shouyong an exasperated look. Brother Zhang, if you want him, you take him. I want to. But the problem is he doesn't think highly of me. Zhang Shouyong smiled wryly. Tamu was similar in age to him, but his strength far surpassed his. Getting Tamu to become his disciple would undoubtedly be harder than ascending to heaven. After Tamu's commotion, the atmosphere at the scene also changed slightly. Tamu wanting to take Duan Ling Tian as his master seemed ridiculous. But everyone present knew that Tamu did so entirely because of Duan Ling Tian's unfathomable methods. Even they were filled with curiosity and longing for those methods, some dynasty representatives. When they looked at Duan Ling Tian, their eyes were filled with greed, wishing they could capture Duan Ling Tian and torture him to extract the secret of his unfathomable methods. Duan Ling Tian, that method you used, similar to a soul skill, could it be an innate divine ability? Suddenly, a familiar voice reached Duan Ling Tian's ears. It was Jian Shisan's voice. Innate divine ability? Duan Ling Tian was startled. What was that? In his confusion, Duan Ling Tian searched through the memories of the reincarnation Martial Emperor and finally understood what an innate divine ability was. It was a unique innate ability born to anomalies that were between humans and demonic beasts, relying on spiritual power, diverse in form. Some similar to soul skills, others similar to secret techniques. Duan Ling Tian smiled bitterly to himself that he knew Su Li's master was treating him as an anomaly born from the union of a human and a demonic beast. Perhaps, sometimes, being an anomaly isn't bad. At least, I won't have to worry about people coveting my soul skill 1,000 illusions or doing something crazy to me. Duan Ling Tian's heart stirred, and he quickly made a decision. Senior actually knows about innate divine abilities. Duan Ling Tian looked at Jian Shisan, responding with a somewhat surprised Yuan Li sound transmission, his answer not directly addressing the question, and Jian Shisan, hearing Duan Ling Tian's words, naturally assumed Duan Ling Tian was tacitly admitting it. Moreover, besides that, he really couldn't think of any other reason why Duan Ling Tian could use such a method similar to a soul skill. After all, in the Cloud Continent, only those specially gifted demonic beasts could master various soul skills through innate soul imprints before achieving Emperor Stage. The Emperor Stage was a collective term for Martial Emperor Stage and Demonic Emperor Stage. Human martial artists could only use spiritual power methods similar to soul skills to fight enemies after achieving Emperor Stage. Those who shared Jian Shisan's idea also included Hui Ming and Hui Jing of Yun Kong Temple and the sect master of Duanqing sect. Peiyan, are you clear about this Duan Ling Tian's background? Peiyan whispered to Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan nodded. He comes from the lowest level kingdom under the Great Han Dynasty, where I used to be. He is a complete commoner. The lowest level kingdom under a dynasty? A commoner? A person from a small kingdom with a commoner background, achieving such accomplishments before the age of 30. Such a person, unless they are an anomaly, or had some great fortuitous encounter, would be almost impossible to exist. Payan murmured to himself. Furthermore, in his opinion, how could such a great fortuitous encounter simply appear? Therefore, he almost concluded that Duan Ling Tian was an anomaly born from the union of a human and a demon. On the Cloud Continent, there were many demons who had broken through to the void transformation stage and transformed into human form. They grew tired of constant fighting and chose to live in seclusion. After going into seclusion, these demons might even seek out ordinary humans to live out the rest of their lives. In Payan's opinion, Duan Ling Tian's father or mother must have been a demon who chose to live in seclusion in that small kingdom. What a pity. Payan sighed. Master, what's a pity? Zhang Yin was startled. You must know the purpose of my bringing you here today. That Duan Ling Tian is so close to Jianshi San. He will definitely follow Jianshi San. Payan said, Master, don't worry. Even if our emotion-severing sect doesn't have Duan Ling Tian joining us, I will still obtain the profundity fragment you need in that place. Zhang Yan's eyes were firm, and he exuded a powerful confidence. Profundity fragment. Hearing Zhang Yan's words, Payan's usually stern face showed a rare ripple of emotion that he was now just a step away from the Martial Emperor stage, and it was this crucial step that prevented him from breaking through to the Martial Emperor stage. On the Cloud Continent, there were many martial artists like him, and some even younger than him who had cultivated to this realm, but never managed to break through to the Martial Emperor stage. In their entire lives, this was all because those people failed to comprehend. Profundity was the path to enter the Martial Emperor stage. As long as one did not comprehend profundity, one could not become a Martial Emperor expert. Senior brother, you said he was an anomaly. Hui Jing looked at Hui Ming beside him with a solemn expression and asked. Hui Ming nodded. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. Moreover, for him to have such cultivation and methods at such a young age, there are only two possibilities. Firstly, he is an anomaly. Secondly, he had a great fortuitous encounter. But how could a fortuitous encounter that allows him to possess such cultivation and methods at such a young age be something that just happens? Hui Ming said with a solemn expression. Anomaly? The young monk standing behind Hui Ming stared intently at Duan Ling Tian, his fighting spirit soaring. Duan Ling Tian immediately sensed the young monk's sharp gaze. After meeting his eyes, he was secretly surprised. It seems that the monks in this world, besides eating vegetarian food and chanting sutras, also possess a strong, unyielding heart of a powerhouse. Donor Duan, if there's an opportunity in the future, this humble monk would like to fight you. A clear sound transmission of vital energy pierced into Duan Ling Tian's ears. It was the young monk's voice. Anytime. Duan Ling Tian replied with a vital energy sound transmission, not losing any ground in terms of aura. After Duan Ling Tian defeated Tianmu, it was Qi Feng's turn. Now, Qi Feng was the owner of token number 2. His potential opponents were Zishang and Qin Kong. In the end, he chose Qin Kong, the owner of token number 3. Qi Feng. This time I will definitely defeat you. Qin Kong and Qi Feng were old rivals. After facing Qi Feng, Qin Kong made a bold declaration. Facing Qin Kong's arrogance, Qi Feng remained remarkably calm. Both were void-prying stage level 4 martial artists, and both had comprehended the quadruple void-prying intent. The amplification power of their grade 3 spirit weapons was also comparable as for other lower-level void-prying intentions. There wasn't much difference between them either. In short, it could be summarized in 4 words: evenly matched. Both went all out, their strengths were equal, and what they competed on was combat experience and their comprehension of martial skills. Of course, there were also some details. Their battle was in full swing, captivating everyone's attention. Watching the constantly intertwining figures and listening to the continuous bursts of air explosions, Duan Ling Tian narrowed his eyes slightly and murmured, It seems that Qi Feng's repeated victories over Qin Kong in the past were not due to luck. Duan Ling Tian could tell that while the two seemed evenly matched on the surface, Qi Feng was more inclined towards stability and possessed great patience for Qin Kong. As time passed, He became increasingly irritable, eventually even starting to reveal some subtle flaws in a battle between powerhouses. Even subtle flaws can often become the key to one's defeat. Qi Feng illustrated this point perfectly. Boom. The moment Qin Kong revealed a subtle flaw, Qi Feng struck like lightning, capitalizing on Qin Kong's opening to overpower him in one fell swoop. Finally, Qi Feng drew a bow with one hand and knocked an arrow with the other. Two arrows, formed by solidified wind and tint, shot through the air, creating a deafening whistle, effortlessly piercing through Qin Kong's shoulders. Why is this happening? Qin Kong suddenly stopped, staring at the blood continuously flowing from the holes in his shoulders, momentarily lost in thought. He had lost again. Lost again. At that moment, Qin Kong was like a living dead man, allowing blood to gush from the wounds on his shoulders without using vital energy to stop the bleeding. It wasn't until the representative of the great Qin dynasty came forward and took Qin Kong away that his wounds were finally staunched. But Qin Kong still hadn't fully recovered his senses. This Qi Feng is calm, patient, and decisive. I hope he's not an inscription master. Duanling Tian took a deep breath. So far, few of the young talents from the 10 dynasties had truly impressed him, including Tiamu and Qin Kong. But now, Qi Feng not only made his expression serious, but Duanling Tian also seemed to sense a hint of danger from him. This feeling was very strange, yet very clear. The fourth round of selections continued. Tiamu challenged Zishang. The outcome was predictable. Tiamu was utterly defeated. Soon, it was Duanling Tian's turn again. Duanling Tian challenged Qin Kong, enveloped him in an illusionary space constructed by his soul skill, Thousand Illusions, and easily defeated him. Qin Kong followed in Tiamu's footsteps. If you have the guts, don't use such underhanded methods. After Duanling Tian withdrew his soul skill, Thousand Illusions, Qin Kong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said to Duanling Tian with resentment. Hearing Qin Kong's naive words, Duanling Tian couldn't help but laugh. The onlookers also laughed. This Qin Kong, despite being a void-prying stage level 4 martial artist, actually said something so naive. Ridiculous. Exactly. Duanling Tian didn't rely on any external forces. He used his own abilities. Why should he be allowed to use his full strength, but Duanling Tian shouldn't? Bursts of sarcastic laughter reached Qin Kong's ears, making his face turn ashen. He glared at Duanling Tian resentfully before returning to the great Qin dynasty's camp. Immediately after, Qi Feng entered the arena. Qi Feng challenged Tiamu, and Tiamu conceded. Qin Kong entered the arena, challenged Tiamu, and Tiamu conceded. Whether it was Qi Feng or Qin Kong, Tiamu had been carefully observing both of their strengths. Precisely because of this, he was very clear about the gap between himself and the two of them. Once I learn my master's techniques, I'll fight you guys again and definitely beat you all to a pulp. Although Tiamu conceded, he was very optimistic. After 2 snorts, he looked flatteringly at the purple-clad young man in the distance. Duanling Tian. Unfortunately, Duanling Tian didn't even glance at him. However, even so, Tiamu showed no discouragement, as if he had decided that Duanling Tian was his master for life. Soon, under Ning Qin's deliberate arrangements, Tiamu, Qin Kong, and Qi Feng successively faced Zishang. Zishang unleashed a secret technique, a black flame mark appearing between his eyebrows, and his strength increased to void-prying stage level 6. He easily defeated Tiamu and Qin Kong. Qi Feng was defeated by him in 3 moves. In an instant, Zishang once again retrieved his number 2 token. Although he had conceded to Feng Tianwu, Tiamu, Qin Kong, and Qi Feng, who were difficult for Feng Tianwu to contend with, had all been defeated by Zishang. Therefore, Zishang, with a 3:1 advantage, reclaimed his number 2 token. As for Su Li, he was also no match for Tiamu, Qin Kong, and Qi Feng. So he declined Duanling Tian's kind offer to lend him the Demon Sealing Tablet to defeat Zishang. Even if he could defeat Zishang, it still wouldn't change Zishang's status as the number 2 token holder for a time. With the exception of Duanling Tian not yet having fought Qi Feng, The top 10 rankings of the 10 Dynasty Martial Arts competition were as follows. Token number 1 holder, Duanling Tian.no. 2. Zishang.no. 3. Qi Feng.no. 4. Qinkong.no. 5. TMU.no. 6. Su Li.no. 7. Feng Tian WU.no. 8. Yi Ling.no. 9. Ochen.no. 10. Zhang Shouyong. Normally, Duanling Tian should have already clashed with Qi Feng. However, Ningkan had suddenly intervened earlier, telling Duanling Tian to rest for a while and allowing the others to determine their specific rankings first. Before having Duanling Tian face Qi Feng, Ningkan's actions made Duanling Tian detect a hint of conspiracy. Even the onlookers present vaguely felt that something was amiss. Why would Vice Fortress Master Ning do this? Even Zishang, Qin Kong, and Tiamu all unexpectedly lost to Duanling Tian. Does he think Qi Feng can threaten Duanling Tian? If you ask me, this is completely unnecessary. Although Qi Feng's strength is indeed very strong, Duanling Tian's unpredictable methods even caught Qin Kong and Tiamu off guard. Qi Feng is probably no match for Duanling Tian. The onlookers discussed animatedly, none of them believing that Qi Feng could defeat Duanling Tian. Brother Duan, I always feel that something is not right. Before Duanling Tian entered the arena, Feng Tianwu frowned, expressing her apprehension to Duanling Tian. Don't worry. In fact, how could Duanling Tian not have this feeling? But he knew that he had to fight this battle. Wind sweeping clouds. Under the expectant gazes of Feng Tianwu and the others, Duanling Tian transformed into a hurricane. Instantly arriving at the center of the arena, Qi Feng was already waiting there to eye in an instant. The two stood opposite each other in a standoff. Duanling Tian, as long as you defeat me, or even kill me, the first place of the 10 Dynasty Martial Arts competition will be yours. Qi Feng stared intently at Duanling Tian, his sharp gaze seemingly capable of piercing through everything to at this moment. Duanling Tian couldn't help but secretly marvel. This Qi Feng, as expected of someone who wielded a bow and arrow, possessed a focused and sharp gaze that was beyond ordinary people. Qi Feng, if I'm not mistaken, you should be an inscription master, right? Duanling Tian didn't answer Qi Feng verbally, but instead asked this question via vital energy sound transmission. How did you know? Duanling Tian's yuanly condensed sound entered Qi Feng's ears, causing Qi Feng to freeze for a moment before he responded with a surprised yuanly condensed sound. However, his heart was still filled with confusion. The fact that he was an inscriptor was known only to the people of their great Qi dynasty, as well as Vice Fortress Master Ning and Vice Fortress Master Feng of the Azure Wolf Fortress. Not only do I know you're an inscriptor, but I also know that Ning can sent you to kill me. And he probably told you that as a 4th level void prying stage inscriptor, you can completely ignore my methods by extending your spiritual energy. Is that right? Duanling Tian continued, his voice indifferent. Devoid of any emotion, Qi Feng was shocked. He never expected Duanling Tian to know even that point. One must know that even other people in the great Qi dynasty were unaware of this. Only he, Vice Fortress Master Ning, and Vice Fortress Master Feng of the Azure Wolf Fortress knew. You guessed. Qi Feng took a deep breath and asked, yes. Duanling Tian did not deny it, nodding frankly. In fact, when Ningkan deliberately arranged his battle with Qi Feng to be the last, he had a subtle feeling that something was amiss. As time passed, he realized a problem. That was the soul within Zishang's body, which was suspected to be that of a martial emperor, though only a wisp of a remnant soul could definitely discern the strength of his spiritual energy when he used the soul skill 1000 Illusions. His spiritual energy strength was precisely at the 4th level void prying stage. Human martial artists, apart from those above the 5th level void prying stage who could ignore his soul skill 1000 Illusions, a 4th level void prying stage inscriptor could also ignore his soul skill. It seems Zishang is truly racking his brains to get me killed. Duanling Tian took a deep breath, a cold glint flashing in his eyes, faintly mixed with a chilling killing intent. He believed that even the inscriptors At the void transformation stage, present might not be able to discern the exact strength of his spiritual energy that he currently possessed. Only the remnant soul within Zishang, suspected to be that of a martial emperor, could know the exact strength of his spiritual energy. Therefore, behind all of this, it must be Zishang pulling the strings that as for the motive. It was clearly to kill him. Since you guessed, why did you still come up? Wouldn't it have been enough to just concede? Qi Feng sighed with condensed Yuan Li, his words seemingly mixed with a hint of pity. What? You pity me? Duan Ling Tian sneered with condensed Yuan Li. If I'm not mistaken, if you kill me, you'll definitely receive extremely generous compensation, right? Humph. Qi Feng snorted with condensed Yuan Li. Compensation? You underestimate me, Qi Feng. I admit that Vice Fortress Master Ning and Vice Fortress Master Feng, after knowing I was an inscriptor and could counter you, indeed offered generous rewards for me to kill you. But I refused. I, Qi Feng, am unyielding. How could I bow for a few concept fragments? Although I do need those concept fragments, there's no enmity between us. I won't go against my conscience to kill you. Conscience. It must be said that Qi Feng's words made Duan Ling Tian involuntarily moved. He could naturally tell whether Qi Feng's words were true or false. Then you. Duan Ling Tian frowned, dimly realizing that he might have truly wronged Qi Feng. I am human. I have family. I have people I want to protect. After I refused, Ning Can and Feng Wei gave up on gentle persuasion and chose force. They said that if I didn't do as they said, they would send people to the great Qi dynasty and kill everyone connected to me. Qi Feng's Yuan Li condensed voice spoke to this point, his tone filled with anger and helplessness. He was angry at Ning Can and Feng Wei's tyranny, and angry at his own powerlessness. But when he thought of his family and friends possibly being killed because of his choice, he could only reluctantly compromise. So, do you understand now? Qi Feng said bitterly with condensed Yuan Li. Duan Ling Tian's face was already covered with a layer of frost. He never expected Ning Can and Feng Wei to use such despicable tactics to kill him. Using other people's families to threaten them into helping kill him was simply worse than pigs and dogs. Originally, I thought I could only go against my conscience and kill you. But since you've already guessed, I'm not afraid to tell you. This way, it's also a way to account for myself. Qi Feng said with condensed Yuan Li. Moreover, you were able to guess all of this, and even dared to come up after guessing. You must have thought of a solution, right? Or perhaps, your spiritual energy has increased again. Qi Feng added. You're wrong. Duan Ling Tian's Yuan Li condensed voice denied Qi Feng's guess. I'm wrong. Qi Feng was stunned. Duan Ling Tian responded, then said, I did guess your motive correctly, but my spiritual energy hasn't broken through. Also, I don't have a solution for now. What? Qi Feng was greatly alarmed, then said with condensed Yuan Li. Then aren't you just coming up here to die? Originally, Qi Feng, who was threatened by Ning Can and Feng Wei and forced to agree to their demands, had already decided to assist the evil and kill Duan Ling Tian, that he made this decision only for the lives of his family and friends, not for the benefits promised by Ning Can and Feng Wei. He was already prepared to bear the condemnation of his conscience for the rest of his life. But who knew that Duan Ling Tian would expose everything he intended to do, causing his previous decision to waver and his heart to feel even more guilty? You can understand it that way. Hearing Qi Feng's words, Duan Ling Tian responded with condensed Yuan Li, then said, All right, for the sake of your family and friends, make your move. Qi Feng was dumbfounded. Is this Duan Ling Tian crazy? Knowing that he was coming up to die, he still dared to, and spoke frankly, as if he truly wasn't afraid of death. What exactly do you want to do? Qi Feng swallowed, a thin layer of cold sweat appearing on his forehead, and asked with condensed Yuan Li. Didn't you say? I'm looking for death. Duan Ling Tian was somewhat speechless. Hadn't he just answered? This Qi Feng was really forgetful. Don't joke around. Qi Feng responded with a bitter smile. Do I look like I'm joking? Duan Ling Tian frowned, urging, Hurry up and make your move. If we keep this stalemate going, be careful that Ning Can and Feng Wei discover something. And then not only you, but even your family and friends will be in deep trouble. No. Qi Feng refused, saying with condensed yuan li. It would have been fine if you didn't know before. But now that you know, I can't bring myself to do it. You should just concede. I'll figure out my own problems later. At this moment, Chi Feng couldn't get past his own conscience. I say, you're a big man. Why are you so indecisive? How can you be so sure there isn't a solution that satisfies both sides? Hurry up and make your move. Duan Ling Tian shouted with condensed yuan li, startling Chi Feng back to his senses, sweeping away his previous gloom. You really want me to make a move? Really not conceding? Chi Feng took a deep breath and asked in a low voice to AT this moment. He also noticed the sharp gazes from Ning, Can, and Feng Wei, coupled with Duan Ling Tian's urging, and his yuan li began to surge. Make your move. Duan Ling Tian nodded, which was his answer to Chi Feng. Although I don't know what you're trying to do, I still have to warn you, be extremely careful. If you feel you can't win, concede quickly. After Chi Feng finished speaking, his eyes suddenly became sharp, and the gaze he shot out seemed to penetrate everything. That's right. Seeing Chi Feng return to his peak combat state, Duan Ling Tian's face revealed a smile, but deep within his eyes, a faint light began to flicker. 1,000 illusions. In an instant, Duan Ling Tian's spiritual energy pierced into this soul imprint deep within his soul, directly unleashing his soul skill. An illusionary space was constructed, enveloping Chi Feng. Duan Ling Tian has made his move. It's that mysterious, unpredictable method again. It seems Chi Feng is about to lose. Qin Kong's strength is similar to Chi Feng's. Both were defeated by Duan Ling Tian's mysterious, unpredictable method in one encounter. Chi Feng will likely meet a similar end. The onlookers seem to have already seen the scene of Chi Feng being severely injured and defeated by Duan Ling Tian in a single encounter, but I in their opinion. This battle was without suspense. Duan Ling Tian, let's see how you, with your 4th level void prying stage spiritual energy, use your illusionary soul skill against a 4th level void prying stage inscriptor. Zishang watched Duan Ling Tian from afar, a cold sneer playing on his lips. Although you didn't die by my hand, I'm still very happy that there will be one less person in this world who opposes me and can threaten me. Your demon sealing tablet will soon be mine. My glorious life, Zishang, has just begun. And your life, Duan Ling Tian, will end today. Thinking of his joy, Zishang's face was filled with delight. As if he had already seen Duan Ling Tian being killed by Chi Feng. Duan Ling Tian, publicly refusing to become my direct disciple and making me lose face, will come at a price. Ningkan stared at Duan Ling Tian's figure with a chilling gaze, muttering, crack. A soft sound, but it was Chi Feng's spiritual energy sweeping out, shattering Duan Ling Tian's illusionary space and completely nullifying Duan Ling Tian's soul skill that if Chi Feng's spiritual energy was only at the 3rd level void prying stage, it would not have been enough to shake the illusionary space constructed by Duan Ling Tian with his 4th level void prying stage spiritual energy. But Chi Feng's spiritual energy was precisely at the 4th level void prying stage, which just happened to be able to counter Duan Ling Tian's illusionary space. At this moment, the representatives from the various dynasties who were inscriptors also discovered the anomaly with their extended spiritual energy. Duan Ling Tian's mysterious, unpredictable method has been broken. I never expected Chi Feng to be an inscriptor. Not only that, after he extended his spiritual energy, he easily broke Duan Ling Tian's mysterious, unpredictable method. The scene before us is truly surprising. The representatives of the various dynasties who were inscription masters completely erupted in excitement. Duan Ling Tian's mysterious methods were broken. Chi Feng, being an inscription master, extended his spiritual energy and easily broke Duan Ling Tian's methods. These inscription masters' words quickly reached everyone present, causing them to look at Duan Ling Tian and Chi Feng with skepticism. They soon noticed that Chi Feng seemed completely unaware of the mysterious methods Duan Ling Tian was using, keeping his eyes fixed on Duan Ling Tian from beginning to end. Did Chi Feng really break Duan Ling Tian's methods? If that's true, wouldn't Chi Feng win easily? Duan Ling Tian is in danger. Immediately, the group of people who were originally full of confidence in Duan Ling Tian. Seeing Qi Feng take out his third-grade spirit bow, couldn't help but break into a cold sweat for Duan Ling Tian. I knew it. Why did Ningkan specifically arrange this? So, this Qi Feng is an inscription master, and he can even counter brother Ling Tian. Zhang Shouyong's face turned grim as he looked at Duan Ling Tian with a worried expression, muttering to himself. Duan Ling Tian was able to get this far relying on his unpredictable methods. Now that his methods are broken, he's probably in danger. Su Li's face showed a look of worry. Brother Duan. Feng Tian Wu's autumn eyes narrowed slightly, and her red robe moved without wind, as if she was ready to step in and help Duan Ling Tian at any moment. Ling Tian, since he is an inscription master and can counter you, you should quickly admit defeat. Feng Wu Dao transmitted his voice to Duan Ling Tian using his elemental energy, saying, "You are still young, and you have a long way to go. The first place in this 10 Dynasty martial arts competition is not worth it." Although there had been no progress between Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tian Wu until now, in Feng Wu Dao's heart, he had long regarded Duan Ling Tian as his son-in-law, and naturally did not want anything to happen to Duan Ling Tian. However, Duan Ling Tian seemed to not hear him at all. Not only did he not reply, he also didn't even glance in his direction. This made him can't help but worry. What exactly is this kid doing? In fact, not only was Feng Wu Dao using elemental energy to urge Duan Ling Tian to surrender, but even Feng Tian Wu, Su Li, and Zhang Shouyong had repeatedly tried to persuade Duan Ling Tian. However, Duan Ling Tian ignored their pleas, continuing to act as he pleased, as if he hadn't heard anything at all. Qi Feng, kill him quickly, before he can admit defeat. Ningkan looked at Qi Feng, who had already taken out his third-grade spirit bow and was using elemental energy combined with the fourth-level intermediate wind concept to form an arrow, and shouted with elemental energy. At Ningkan's shout, Qi Feng shivered, and his gaze became even more focused and sharp. His gaze immediately locked onto Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, in his world, it seemed as if only Duan Ling Tian remained. When Qi Feng broke his soul skill, 1,000 illusions, and took out his third-grade spirit bow, Duan Ling Tian's expression had already become completely serious. Without the reliance on the soul skill 1,000 illusions, with his current strength alone, he couldn't contend with Qi Feng. But the reason he hadn't admitted defeat yet was naturally for a reason. Unconsciously, the elemental energy within Duan Ling Tian's body completely boiled, and the cultivation method of the 7th transformation of the 9-dragon war sovereign technique, this sword dragon transformation, began to circulate. As soon as the elemental energy rose from Duan Ling Tian's body, it merged with the second-level intermediate wind concept, transforming into true wind. Gusts of wind wrapped around him. Yet they didn't give Duan Ling Tian any sense of security under Qi Feng's gaze, which seemed to pierce through everything. Duan Ling Tian felt as if he had nowhere to hide. Even if he used the movement martial skill, wind rolling clouds to fly around, his heart was still filled with unease. He had witnessed Qi Feng's methods before. Aside from his powerful strength, Qi Feng was also a natural archer, possessing all the qualities of an excellent archer: calmness, patience, decisiveness. Duan Ling Tian was not unfamiliar with these 3 qualities in his mercenary life on Earth in his previous life. Duan Ling Tian was considered an all-rounder king of soldiers, and he also possessed these qualities, and these qualities were those he possessed as a top sniper. Sniper and archer, though seemingly very different, shared a similar principle. It was precisely because of this that Duan Ling Tian felt uneasy when facing Qi Feng, because he knew how terrifying an archer with these 3 qualities could be. Every arrow from such an archer was almost always a bullseye, never missing its mark. Come on. Soon, Duan Ling Tian adjusted his mood. In his hand, a third-grade spirit sword appeared, immediately enveloped by the materialized wind concept, emitting wisps of sharp aura. It was an aura similar to wind blades. At the same time, the elemental energy within Duan Ling Tian's body, following the cultivation method of the 7th transformation of the 9-dragon war sovereign technique, this sword dragon transformation, transformed into roaring dragons, constantly surging through the various meridians in his body. Each surge carried the powerful medicinal properties of the Nirvana pill, constantly building up momentum, as if preparing for something. Buzz. A soft sound made everyone present hold their breath. It was Qi Feng's arrow, completely formed by the materialized wind concept, placed on the third-grade spirit bow in his hand. Pressing against the bowstring and drawing it back, the bowstring was pulled back, forming a full moon shape. Qi Feng's gaze, which seemed to pierce through everything, immediately locked onto Duan Ling Tian. Qi Feng, with his bow drawn and arrow knocked, his hair swayed, eventually even breaking his hair tie. Above the void, the power of heaven and earth surged, finally converging into a celestial phenomenon. A total of 151 ancient horned dragon phantoms, poised to strike at this moment. Qi Feng, with his bow drawn and arrow knocked, his hair moving without wind, combined with the myriad ancient horned dragon phantoms above the void, seemed to transform into a magnificent and perfect painting. Finally, just as the hearts of the onlookers were suspended, Qi Feng released the arrow formed by the materialized wind concept. Whoosh! The arrow instantly disappeared from the third-grade spirit bow, piercing through the air, above the void. The 151 ancient horned dragon phantoms also swept out with bared fangs and claws, their speed as fast as lightning streaking across the sky. So fast. Almost at the moment Qi Feng released his hand, Duan Ling Tian's expression couldn't help but change, almost at the same time. The shot arrow instantly magnified in front of Duan Ling Tian, pointing directly at his glabella, seemingly about to pierce it. Whoosh! At the same time Qi Feng released his hand, the third-grade spirit sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand, as if with foresight, moved horizontally towards his glabella, and almost at the moment the third-grade spirit sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand was held horizontally at his glabella. The arrow, completely formed by the materialized third-level intermediate wind concept, also arrived, directly hitting the blade of the third-grade spirit sword. In an instant, Duan Ling Tian felt a terrifying force surge into the third-grade spirit sword in his hand, causing his tiger's mouth to split and bleed profusely. Not only that, but that powerful force also slammed into his body, sending him flying backward with a fierce impact. Swish! Duan Ling Tian flew out like an arrow released from a bowstring, the hand holding the sword completely numb. So much so that Duan Ling Tian didn't even know when the third-grade spirit sword had left his hand. Now, he was facing the power that had entered his body from the arrow. This power was incredibly overbearing. As soon as it entered Duan Ling Tian's body, it shattered the meridians it passed through inch by inch, injuring Duan Ling Tian's internal organs. Wah! Uft! As Duan Ling Tian was sent flying, he continuously spewed out congested blood, all of which was from his injured meridians and internal organs. Brother Duan. Feng Tian Wu's autumn eyes narrowed, her eyes splitting with fury, and she cried out in alarm. Her figure, like fire, surged forth, wanting to go to his rescue. But she was held back by Feng Wudao. Feng Wudao knew that not only did his daughter not have the strength to save Duan Ling Tian, but even if she did, if she interfered in this duel, Kangwol Fort would never let it go. Ling Tian quickly admit defeat, seeing Qi Feng once again condense an arrow, knock it on his third-grade spirit bow, and draw it to a full moon. Feng Wudao couldn't help but continue to transmit his elemental energy into Duan Ling Tian's ears. Duan Ling Tian, quickly admit defeat. Brother Ling Tian. Su Li and Zhang Shouyong watched the scene before them, their bodies trembling with agitation, their fists clenched tightly. They continuously transmitted their elemental energy into Duan Ling Tian's eardrums, intending to make Duan Ling Tian surrender. Brother Duan. Brother Duan. Admit defeat. Quickly admit defeat. Feng Tian Wu's autumn eyes turned crimson, and she continuously cried out in alarm, completely disregarding her usual image at this moment. In her heart, she only hoped that Duan Ling Tian could survive. Nothing else mattered. This Duan Ling Tian, still not admitting defeat. Does he really want to die? Qi Feng is about to shoot another arrow. If this arrow is fired, he will surely die. The onlookers all shook their heads, believing that if Duan Ling Tian didn't admit defeat soon, he would surely die there today. Ba. Hui Ming and Hui Jing of Cloud Sky Temple clasped their hands together, chanting incantations. Duan Ling Tian, you said you would fight me someday. Could it be that you're going to break your promise? The young monk stared at Duan Ling Tian's figure with piercing eyes, muttering to himself, Zhang Yin, you should learn from this Duan Ling Tian in the future. He's not simple at all. Pan, the sect leader of Duan Qing sect, seemed to have discovered something. A hint of realization flashing in his eyes, and then he whispered to Zhang Yin, learn from Duan Ling Tian? Zhang Yin was puzzled, isn't this Duan Ling Tian about to be killed? Whoosh. Finally, Duan Ling Tian's flying figure paused in midair, but his body trembled, as if something was happening within him. Inside Duan Ling Tian's body, the powerful force originating from Qi Feng's arrow, after destroying Duan Ling Tian's meridians and internal organs, fiercely pierced into the main meridian. For a time, it began to clash with the elemental energy within Duan Ling Tian's body, and eventually, even the majority of the dormant, overbearing medicinal power of the Nirvana pill was drawn out. As soon as the potent medicinal power of the Nirvana pill was unleashed, it perfectly fused with Duan Ling Tian's origin energy, jointly resisting the powerful external force. With the addition of the Nirvana pill's medicinal power, Duan Ling Tian's origin energy felt as if it had divine assistance, annihilating the external force with overwhelming force. Immediately after, the potent medicinal power of the Nirvana pill began to recede, hiding deep within Duan Ling Tian's dantian. Of course, a significant portion had completely integrated into Duan Ling Tian's origin energy due to their joint battle, causing Duan Ling Tian's origin energy to swell and surge forward fiercely, as if injected with a stimulant. Boom. With a soft sound, Duan Ling Tian's long stagnant bottleneck, the one leading to the third level of the void prying stage, shattered in an instant. Duan Ling Tian's origin energy underwent a transformation. Void prying stage, third level. I broke through. Duan Ling Tian, noticing the changes within his body, felt a surge of excitement. He knew he had successfully breaking through to the third level of the void prying stage with the help of that power. Soon, Duan Ling Tian was stunned again, as he discovered that the wild origin energy within him, after breaking through the bottleneck to the third level of the void prying stage, continued to surge forward with undiminished momentum. Upon realizing this, Duan Ling Tian's pupils contracted. Without any hesitation, he activated the cultivation method of the seventh transformation of the Nine Dragons' War Sovereign Art. Sword Dragon Transformation. The origin energy surged out fiercely, completely driven by the potent medicinal power left by the Nirvana pill, like a stimulant, showing no signs of stopping. In an instant, Duan Ling Tian was horrified to find that no sooner had he broken through to the third level of the void prying stage than the bottleneck to the fourth level of the void prying stage formed. Boom. Before Duan Ling Tian could even react, the bottleneck to the fourth level of the void prying stage was instantly shattered, and Duan Ling Tian's origin energy transformed once again. At this point, the origin energy, driven by the potent medicinal power of the Nirvana pill, finally began to slow down, but still showed no signs of stopping. Finally, after the bottleneck to the fifth level of the void prying stage appeared, the origin energy completely quieted down, and the medicinal power of the Nirvana pill was completely exhausted. 2 levels. Duan Ling Tian was stunned, completely dumbfounded. He had originally only intended to use the power from Qi Feng's arrow to risk activating the medicinal power of the Nirvana pill within him, breaking through the bottleneck to the third level of the void prying stage and reaching the third level of the void prying stage. But who would have thought that he had underestimated the potent medicinal power of the Nirvana pill? The medicinal power of the Nirvana pill directly propelled his origin energy, causing him to break through 2 levels consecutively, reaching the fourth level of the void prying stage in one go. Moreover, he was already at the late stage of the fourth level of the void prying stage. having directly formed the bottleneck to the 5th level of the void prying stage. In other words, with one more step, he would be able to break through to the 5th level of the void prying stage. The surprise came too quickly, leaving Duan Ling Tian somewhat disoriented. It wasn't until a sharp whistling sound reached his ears, and he felt his throat being locked onto by something. That Duan Ling Tian, without even looking, guessed what had happened. Qi Feng's second arrow had arrived. Without any hesitation, Duan Ling Tian raised his hand, and a sword, emanating a terrifying aura, appeared out of thin air, sword drawing art. At this moment, what Duan Ling Tian needed to do was block Qi Feng's arrow, not launch an offensive, so he didn't use the 9-dragon-inch glow flash, but rather the most direct sword drawing art.as. The sword was drawn. Duan Ling Tian's vast origin energy, newly broken through, instantly surged into the sword. The second-level mid-grade wind concept simultaneously merged within the origin energy. Whoosh. The sword Duan Ling Tian hastily drew was the quasi-emperor grade spirit sword. Combined with his current 4th-level void prying stage origin energy, it unleashed the power of 120 ancient horned dragons. Half of it was the power contained within the 4th-level void prying stage origin energy, and the other half was the amplification power of the quasi-emperor grade spirit sword. Not only that, there was also the power of 30 ancient horned dragons contained within Duan Ling Tian's 2nd-level mid-grade wind concept. Together, they amounted to the power of 150 ancient horned dragons. This was almost exactly on par with the power contained within Qi Feng's arrow. And the outcome was predictable. The sword struck, the arrow shattered, and a terrifying force erupted from the collision point of the sword and arrow, stirring up a formidable wave of air. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Terrifying gales swept out from all directions, causing some of the younger talents with lower cultivation bases present to squint their eyes. Duan Ling Tian, at the center of the storm, remained motionless. The sword in his hand had been put away at some point. The lightning-fast sword light, after shattering Qi Feng's arrow, had completely vanished. The vast heaven and earth energy surging in the void above ultimately did not have time to condense into a heaven and earth phenomenon. Phew, Duan Ling Tian, realizing that he hadn't exposed the quasi-emperor grade spirit sword, couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, just as everyone, including Qi Feng, was dumbfounded. Duan Ling Tian moved. Wind sweeps fallen leaves. The direction Duan Ling Tian moved in was precisely the direction where Qi Feng was located. 1,000 illusions. This time, the mental energy Duan Ling Tian unleashed was completely different from his previous mental energy. After breaking through to the 4th level of the void prying stage, his mental energy also broke through to the 6th level of the void prying stage. Now, the illusory space constructed by the soul skill 1,000 illusions was even more solid than before. The next moment, the illusory space had already enveloped Qi Feng. Immediately after, under the stunned gazes of the onlookers, Duan Ling Tian, still with blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, flashed to Qi Feng's side. Without any reaction from Qi Feng, he struck out with a palm, heavily injuring him. The illusory space then shattered. Wah! Qi Feng's face turned pale, his body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of clotted blood. When he saw Duan Ling Tian standing not far away, a bitter expression appeared on his face. You broke through. Yes. Duan Ling Tian nodded faintly. It was fortunate that Qi Feng had explained the whole situation to him earlier. Otherwise, he absolutely wouldn't have held back just now.as for the 2 arrows Qi Feng shot later, which showed no mercy. Duan Ling Tian didn't blame him. Someone like Qi Feng either doesn't make a move, or if he does, it's with full power, perhaps, in his concept. The term show mercy simply didn't exist. Moreover, Qi Feng had once advised him to concede, but he himself had not conceded and had asked Qi Feng to make a move. It could be said that even if he had died this time, he would have died due to his own arrogance, not at Qi Feng's hands. Because Qi Feng had already stated that he didn't want to kill him, he was the one who forced Qi Feng to act. Fortunately, he had gambled correctly. He hadn't died. From the beginning, you intended to use my power to break through. Chi Feng took a deep breath and asked again. You're very clever. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly, then rose into the air, looking at the ashen-faced Ning Can, and said with a resonant voice, Vice Fortress Master Ning, thank you very much. If you hadn't let Chi Feng temper me, I wouldn't have completed my breakthrough so quickly. Duan Ling Tian emphasized the word temper heavily. Ning Can snorted. He naturally understood the mockery in Duan Ling Tian's words. He also hadn't expected that he had originally intended for Chi Feng to kill Duan Ling Tian, but instead, he ended up helping him, allowing him to complete his breakthrough at the most critical moment. Thinking of the way Duan Ling Tian had raised his hand to shatter the arrow Chi Feng shot just now, he still couldn't quite understand it. Even if Duan Ling Tian had broken through, he seemed to only be at the third level of the void prying stage, right? The third level of the void prying stage. How could he shatter the arrow shot by Chi Feng? He didn't suspect Chi Feng of holding back, because the arrow Chi Feng shot had 151 ancient horned dragon phantoms accompanying it. That was Chi Feng's full power. It seems this Duan Ling Tian still has many secrets. Ning Can thought to himself, after mocking Ning Can. Duan Ling Tian glanced at the grim-faced Feng Wei, then looked at Zishang not far away, and said with origin energy condensation, Zishang, you must be very disappointed right now, aren't you? Hearing Duan Ling Tian's words, Zishang's face darkened, and he retorted without ceremony, using origin energy condensation, Duan Ling Tian, don't get cocky. Even if you can survive under Chi Feng, you're destined not to live much longer. Then let's wait and see who lives longer. Duan Ling Tian looked deeply at Zishang, then returned to Feng Tian Wu and the others. Tian Wu, Uncle Feng, Su Li, Brother Zhang. I'm sorry for making you all worry. Duan Ling Tian looked apologetically at the four people in front of him. In fact, he had heard every one of their continuous origin energy condensations earlier. He hadn't missed them, but because he was in a state of intense mental focus at the time, he couldn't respond to them at all. Duan Ling Tian, you really scared us all. Su Li shook his head with a bitter smile, then added, next time, if you're going to take a risk, tell us in advance so we can be mentally prepared. You didn't see it just now. Miss Tian Wu was even humph. Feng Tian Wu snorted, interrupting Su Li, then looked at Duan Ling Tian and asked with concern, Brother Duan, are you all right? I'm fine, just some minor injuries. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. The injuries to his meridians and internal organs had mostly recovered after he took the healing pill just now. That sword strike of his just now was not simple. In the distant void, Hui Ming, staring at Duan Ling Tian from afar, said with a solemn expression, that sword strike could contend with the arrow Chi Feng shot, which means it contained at least the power of about 150 ancient horned dragons. The power of 150 ancient horned dragons. Hui Jing was surprised. Is that possible? Even if this Duan Ling Tian broke through, he only broke through to the third level of the void prying stage. How could he possess such powerful strength? Perhaps this is the strength of an anomaly. Hui Ming added. That's the only way to explain it. Hui Jing nodded. Duan Ling Tian, you really didn't disappoint me. I'm really looking forward to a battle with you in the near future. The young monk murmured to himself, then sent a message with origin energy condensation, which pierced into Duan Ling Tian's ears. Asterisk. I'll see it through to the end. Duan Ling Tian responded unhurriedly after receiving the little monk's reply. Previously, facing the little monk's challenge, Duan Ling Tian had been fearless. Now, with his cultivation having broken through 2 levels in a row, and his strength greatly increased, Duan Ling Tian was naturally even less afraid in fact, as long as this little monk wasn't an inscription master. With just his void prying stage 6th level cultivation, he wouldn't be able to resist the soul skill 1000 illusions that Duan Ling Tian currently wielded, unless the little monk had also consumed a special spirit fruit that could enhance his soul. Or rather, his mental force, as long as the little monk's mental force was at the void prying stage 6th level, and as long as he wasn't an inscription master. Once he fell into the illusory space constructed by Duan Ling Tian's soul skill, he would be a lamb to the slaughter. Duan Ling Tian, congratulations. Jian Shisan and Dao Wu nodded and smiled at Duan Ling Tian before ascending into the air, joining the two vice fort masters of Kangwolf Fort, the two middle-aged monks from Yunkong Temple, and the sect master of Duanqing sect. Pei and the high-ranking officials of the four major external forces gathered together. I thought Duan Ling Tian was going to lose. But who would have thought that things would take a turn, and he actually defeated Qi Feng, winning the first place in the 10 Dynasty martial competition here. Someone couldn't help but exclaim at this moment. Duan Ling Tian also became the focus of everyone's attention. 10 Dynasty martial competition. First place. What an honor was that? Zhang Yan, I really didn't expect to see you here. Even more so, I didn't expect you to join the Duanqing sect, an external sect no less powerful than Kangwolf Fort, and even become the personal disciple of the Duanqing sect master. Duan Ling Tian flew up and approached Zhang Yan, who was standing alone in the void, taking the initiative to greet him. Although there had been some conflict between him and Zhang Yan back then, it wasn't a deep-seated grudge. For people from the same imperial kingdom to meet in this external realm was enough to show their destiny. You're not bad either. Being able to continuously break through 2 levels under such difficult circumstances, and directly break through to the void prying stage 4th level. Also, the sword you used to shatter the arrow shot by Qi Feng wasn't simple, was it? Zhang Yan looked deeply at Duan Ling Tian, his face still expressionless. Duan Ling Tian's smile had completely frozen when Zhang Yan was halfway through his sentence. It took him a while to recover. Then he took a deep breath and asked, "Did your master see through it?" Zhang Yan nodded. "It seems your master is only half a step away from the Martial Emperor stage." Duan Ling Tian gave a bitter smile that he hadn't expected Zhang Yan's master to be so abnormal. Not only able to see that he had broken through to the void-prying stage 4th level without the heaven and earth phenomenon taking shape, but also able to tell that the sword he used at the time was not simple. The sword he used at the time was a quasi-emperor grade spirit sword, so it was naturally not simple. You can even tell that? Zhang Yan's usually stern face showed a rare hint of emotion. It's not hard to guess. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. In his mind, he had integrated the memories of the reincarnated Martial Emperor from 2 lifetimes. It wasn't difficult for him to infer some things. His cultivation, displayed without the heaven and earth phenomenon taking shape, was something even a void transformation stage 9th level martial artist like Jian Shisan couldn't discern. Only powerhouses who had 1 foot in the Martial Emperor stage, or those who had already entered the Martial Emperor stage and above, could tell. Zhang Yan's master, being in the Martial Emperor stage, was clearly impossible. If Zhang Yan's master were in the Martial Emperor stage, then once he appeared, neither of the 2 vice fort masters of Kangwolf Fort, nor Jian Shisan and Dao Wu of the Saber and Sword sect, would even dare to speak loudly in front of him. Moreover, Kangwolf Fort and Saber and Sword sect were merely third-rate forces in the external realm. Since Duanqing sect was associated with these 2 sects, it probably wasn't much stronger and was likely also a third-rate force. There were no Martial Emperor stage powerhouses among the third-rate forces of the external realm that a force with a Martial Emperor stage powerhouse, even if it was just one, would be considered a second-rate force in the external realm, far superior to any third-rate force that it could be said that a single Martial Emperor stage powerhouse could sweep through an entire third-rate force. The strength of a Martial Emperor stage powerhouse was unimaginable. Zhang Yan, why did you go to Duanqing sect? I heard from Senior Jian that your Duanqing sect is not an ordinary sect. Only those who are heartless and emotionless can thrive there. Duan Ling Tian curiously asked. I see you're doing quite well there, even becoming the personal disciple of the Duanqing sect master. Could it be that you've also become heartless and emotionless? Weren't you in love with Ziyan? Although several years had passed, Duan Ling Tian clearly remembered Zhang Yan's obsession with Ziyan back then. I am me, she is her. We no longer have any relationship, Zhang Yan said indifferently, his tone devoid of any emotion. What? Zhang Yan's reaction greatly surprised Duan Ling Tian. Zhang Yan, did something happen between you and her? I still remember. The first time you and I fought, you stood up for her. Later, you constantly targeted me because of her. If you came to me to discuss her, you should go back. If you came to reminisce, you are most welcome. Zhang Yin said again. It seems you've truly changed. Duan Ling Tian sighed, shaking his head. He remembered that in the past, Zhang Yin would look at him with hostile eyes whenever he saw him, especially in front of Zi Yin, wishing he could tear him to pieces. But now, although Zhang Yin wasn't exactly friendly towards him, he wasn't as repulsed as before. Regardless, I must congratulate you on this opportunity. As people from the same Qinglin Imperial Kingdom, meeting in this external realm can be considered fate. Duan Ling Tian said with a smile. Since Zhang Yin no longer harbored hostility towards him, he naturally wouldn't hold a grudge over the small conflict from back then. He had always adhered to the principle. If others don't offend me, I don't offend others. In this world, it was always better to have one more friend than one more enemy. Thank you. Although Zhang Yan's face remained expressionless, a flicker of light still crossed his eyes, clearly acknowledging Duan Ling Tian's words. In the distance, the high-ranking officials of Kangwolf Fort, Saber and Sword Sect, Yinkong Temple, and Duanqing Sect gathered together. Jin Shisan, Hui Ming, Pan. I know the purpose of your trip is nothing more than to come and share a piece of the pie with my Kangwolf Fort. Since you've come, my Kangwolf Fort naturally won't be selfish. Ning Kan spoke directly. However, for the rewards given to the 10 great imperial kingdoms and the top 10 young talents in this 10 dynasty martial competition, you must each contribute a share. That's as it should be. Jin Shisan nodded, being the first to agree. This humble monk has no objections. Huiming said, pressing his palms together. All right. Payan replied indifferently, his face expressionless. Before long, the high-ranking officials of the 4 major external forces gathered all the rewards for this 10 dynasty martial competition. And Ning Kan's expression softened a bit. This way, his Kangwolf Fort wouldn't suffer too much of a loss. Next, it was time to distribute the rewards. The Great Han Imperial Kingdom, with 5 young talents ranking among the top 10 in this 10 dynasty martial competition, will receive 10 concept fragments, 10 third-grade spirit weapons, and 10 bottles of third-grade rebirth pills. Ning Kan, the vice fort master of Kangwolf Fort, standing in the central area above the fighting arena and becoming the focus of everyone's attention, slowly announced, "Many thanks, Vice Fort Master Ning." The Emperor of the Great Han Imperial Kingdom hastily thanked him after receiving the rewards, a wide smile on his face. The representatives of the other 9 imperial kingdoms, one by one, looked at the Emperor of the Great Han Imperial Kingdom with envy, some even showing greed and killing intent in their eyes, clearly harboring ill intentions. Additionally, the representatives of the Great Qi Imperial Kingdom, Great Qin Imperial Kingdom, Great Yuan Imperial Kingdom, Great Shu Imperial Kingdom, and Great Qing Imperial Kingdom will each receive 2 concept fragments, 2 third-grade spirit weapons, and 2 bottles of third-grade rebirth pills. Ning Kan continued to announce and distribute the rewards. Many thanks, Vice Fort Master Ning. The representatives of the 5 great imperial kingdoms quickly expressed their gratitude. Finally, the representatives of the remaining 4 imperial kingdoms will each receive 1 third-grade spirit weapon and 1 bottle of third-grade rebirth pills. Ning Kan added, clearly, these were consolation prizes, without even any concept fragments. Although the representatives of the 4 imperial kingdoms had very poor expressions, they still accepted the rewards with gratitude. Their imperial kingdoms had worked so hard for so long, and even sacrificed many young talents, only to receive so few rewards, without even concept fragments. How could they be happy? A concept fragment, even just one, was enough to represent a future void transformation stage powerhouse. Therefore, the value of a concept fragment was incomparable to spirit weapons or pills. After the rewards for the various imperial kingdoms were distributed, Ning Kan's voice came again. Now please, the young talents who ranked among the top 10 in the 10 Dynasty Martial Competition, step forward. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Immediately, 10 people, including Duan Ling Tian, stepped out into the air. Surrounding Ning Kan, the first place in the 10 Dynasty Martial Competition will receive 3 4th-level concept fragments, 10 third-grade spirit weapons, and 10 bottles of third-grade rebirth pills. Ning Kan handed the spatial ring containing the rewards to Duan Ling Tian. Many thanks. Vice Fort Master Ning. Duan Ling Tian grinned, completely ignoring the coldness hidden deep in Ning Can's eyes when he looked at him. For a moment, Duan Ling Tian once again became the focus of attention. Point 3 4th-level concept fragments. Even the Imperial Kingdom representatives, including the Emperor of the Great Han Imperial Kingdom, all had completely reddened eyes. Point 1 must know that the concept fragments in the rewards received by the various Imperial Kingdom representatives were only 1st-level concept fragments, which couldn't compare to 4th-level concept fragments at all. Duan Ling Tian received 3 of them at once. How could they not be envious? If they knew that Duan Ling Tian wasn't particularly bothered by these rewards, they would probably be so angry they'd spit 3 liters of blood. And in fact, Duan Ling Tian truly didn't care much about the rewards he had just received. He casually tossed the spatial ring containing the rewards into his own spatial ring, with no intention of opening it to look. Duan Ling Tian's rewards were the best. The 2nd place in the 10 Dynasty Martial Competition. Zishang only received 2 4th-level concept fragments, 9 3rd-grade spirit weapons, and 9 bottles of 3rd-grade rebirth pills. The 3rd place, Qi Feng, received 1 4th-level concept fragment, 8 3rd-grade spirit weapons, and 8 bottles of 3rd-grade rebirth pills.